So let's start. For our first session today, which is on work, wealth, and well-being of women in the organized sector, I would like to invite Binu Wadhwa. Binu is advisory board member of Talenomics India. She's passionate about growing people and organizations, and that's what she did to Talenomics India, its team, and to me. In conversation with Binu will be MP Seiko Noda, former minister in charge of Women's Empowerment Japan, and currently chairperson of the Research Commission on Info Communication Strategy in the Liberal Democratic Party. Very grateful that despite MP Noda's unavailability today, she was able to spare time and pre-record her insights to share with all of us. Let's watch what Binu and MP Noda have to say to us.
A warm welcome to you, Ms. MP Seiko Noda, on behalf of Talenomics India. When I was looking at your CV, I was so impressed. You've been a Minister of Internal Affairs and Communications, Ministers in charge of Women Empowerment, Minister of State for Gender Equality, Minister of State for Social Security and Tax Number System, and now chairperson of the Research Commission on Info Communication Strategy in the Liberal Democratic Party. But I also know, though you have a new person as a chairperson, I think you continue to be a forerunner for women empowerment. So very honored to really be speaking to you and talking to you today, Seiko. So a complete pleasure.
Thank you very much. Good evening. I'm late because of the meeting regarding the beyond 5G that you mentioned at my new post. Well, yes. It's kind of, heat up. So well, anyway, good to see you. And I prepared the documents in order to let you understand the situation in Japan clearly. So anyway, you can start giving questions and I will answer.
Okay. So as you know, we have huge, gender diversity in both the developed and the developing countries with respect to work, wealth, and well-being. Mm-hmm. You have immense experience and you've done extensive work on women empowerment, gender equality, and social protection. Mm-hmm. What are your insights in some of these, areas? What action did Japan, a developed country, has taken to mitigate this disparity? And what have been your learnings? What do you believe continue to be the challenges? And what do you think will it take to reduce the gender disparity in access to work, wealth, and well-being? Anything that the rest of the world can learn from your experience in Japan. Over to you.
Well, I answer you that it is critical to realize society in which all persons wishing to work, women and men alike, benefit from the ability to carry on their careers free, are precious to choose between work and family. First, it is imperative to realize the construction work-life balance through a diversified range of flexible employment modes, including enlightened responses to childbirth, parenting, nursing care, and other key needs. Coming to mind for Japan in particular is the reality that women shoulder the burden for performing the majority of housework and parenting, a situation impacting female career choices on the marketplace. Initiatives to promote workplace and advanced by women and contributions by men in the home and local community exist in an inescapable linked relationship. Against the backdrop, there is a vital need to strive through initiatives to change the long hours worked by men, promote greater use of childcare, leave, and other changes for men in advancing environmental improvements that facilitate easier participation in parenting, nursing care, other areas, regardless of gender. Well, likewise, essential are opportunities for learning to enable women to raise their vocational abilities and choose career fits with their own aspirations. In particular, the digital field comprises a growth industry for which employment has continued to expand even under the impact of the COVID-19, while also being characterized by the ease of adopting telework and other flexible work modes. Accordingly, there is a crucial need to channel energies into the cultivation of digital savvy female human resources. Well, that's it so far.
Okay, wonderful. So I like your thought about the fact that if men continue to have long working hours, they won't be able to pitch in at work. And it's a very valid point. They do need to support, women if you want women to equally participate. And I agree with you. I think the pandemic has opened up the opportunity to go digital. Mm-hmm. And that could be something women could leverage. And that's something we've also seen, Seiko, in India as well, that women, while, a lot of women have actually stepped away from the workforce thanks to the pandemic because it became too much to manage home and work. Mm-hmm. But it also has opened up opportunities to work from home, more flexible working conditions. So you're absolutely right. Digital could be one answer to women joining the workforce and being able to take care of their families and work at the same time. My second question to you, which is around wealth for women, is what should be done to ensure that women who tend to have low economic power live with dignity into old age, mm-hmm. so that they're not always dependent on, either their parents or their husbands, but, even in old age, they are economically, financially secure. What do you think needs to be done for that?
Okay, before answering your second question, well, I have a certain emotion that even though I recommend the stay-home telework, because for the women, you can do both, like childcare and work. But it's something because what I say, in Japan, there's not many huge houses. So we live in a tiny, house without a study room. So like me, I stay home and do the online work. But, my son kind of bothers me all the time. Well, that things. And also, telework means you work endlessly. If you go to office 9 to 5, it's kind of fixed. But you stay home and you take your kids, and it's 24 hours online. So it is it's kind of convenient, but maybe it has some different new burden to women who still do the childcare for herself without the cooperation with her husband, right? So we have to think seriously about this next instant. Anyway, second question is what I say over the past few decades, rapid changes have occurred in the environment surrounding Japanese women. Japan has evolved into an era increasingly characterized by 100-year longevity. Well, most of the women live until 100 years old. But anyway, half of all men are living to the age of 90. The number of divorces has reached one third the number of marriage. While approximately about 1/3 of both men and women remain unmarried at the age of 50 in Japan. The traditional family image of men working and women upholding the home is no longer the standard here. With greater diversity emerging in women's lives in the concept of the family. As this trend expands, it has grown extremely important for women to enhance their ability to become financially independent, thereby avoiding descent into economic adversity linked to longer lifespans. Because if you don't have economic power, your last year is quite miserable in Japan. There are also women who choose not to leave their husbands due to their economic circumstances, even if suffering from domestic violence. This is yet another vital issue from the perspective of the ability to live with dignity. During my recent term as a cabinet minister, in June of this year, I compiled a list of initiatives to be advanced as core priorities by the government as a whole, labeling that the Women's Edition Big Bone Policy Measures 2022. Within the framework as well, I positioned economic self-reliance for women as a major pillar of the vision. True to this steps, I believe that solid steps must be advanced to correct wage difference between men and women, eliminate stereotyped support of gender-based role divisions, and resolve other deeply entrenched structural issues. That's my answer to you of the second question.
Okay, that's nice. So there were initiatives that you kind of recommended for women to be economically, financially independent, especially as they grow old, so they are comfortable.
Whether divorced or the husband passed away, anyway, it is difficult here in Japan to the normal woman to live alone, without no support from the government or the senior age. So we have to clear this problem as soon as possible, giving the economic chance to every woman.
That's really nice, right? That you're driving that at the government level,
Yes.
so that the government can support. Oh, that's really nice to hear. My next question to you is, and you talked, you mentioned about it, that many a times even women are not leaving their husbands, even in spite of physical abuse or discomfort or not being able to get along. How can women maintain their physical and mental well-being in such a society which is so patriarchal? Any thoughts, anything that you think women need to do? Are there any policies or practices that you're aware of that has helped women maintain their physical and mental well-being?
Yes. Well, for both men and women, it is important to be able to choose both work and living styles that are harmonious with individual aspirations. I firmly believe that it is the role of policy making to cultivate such an environment. Toward the end, and as has been pointed out, it is critical to become personally aware of the nature of stereotyped support of gender-based role divisions and other so-called unconscious biases, while refusing to allow such prejudice to take root in the next generation. In the Japanese government, we advance research projects targeting such unconscious biases, while utilizing the result of those studies to prepare checklists and collections of examples for use in grasping on such biases. To likewise avoid passing on unconscious biases, We strive to bring widespread attention to the diversification taking place in women's lives, along with the risks of raising girls to accept the traditional value that marriage guarantees financial stability for a lifetime. Our effort in being promoted to raise social awareness by sponsoring workshops for local public entities and other bodies, organizing teacher training programs, and evolving other fruitful initiatives. Other serious violations of female human rights, including domestic violence, you mentioned that during the COVID-19, the number is increased rapidly at the hands of the spouse, sexual crimes, sexual violence, and other acts. In Japan, widespread efforts are being advanced to stamp out such crimes. For violence perpetuated by a spouse, these endeavors, including upgrading the consultation support system available to victims, improving treatment for care workers, and other steps. For sexual crimes and violence, we're working to expand the support program available to victims, as well as strengthen countermeasures, education, and enlightenment for offenders. And turning to women's health, it is incredibly important to women to be able to directly determine matters dealing with their own bodies based on accurate information at their own free will. This is the fundamental promise for women to excel in society, attain true gender equity. Up to now in Japan, the atmosphere has not favored the public mention or a discussion of menstruations, period, and other health issues unique to women. Slowly but surely, however, recognition has been grown up of the importance of raising such understanding and concern at companies, workplace, and society as a whole. For example, use of production and services rooted in cutting-edge technology to address the special challenges faced by women. This covers promotion of femtech initiatives to empower women, greater health literacy concerning women's health needs, and other efforts. We start the team of MPs, especially LDP. It's a macho party, quite a conservative party, but we strongly cheer this femtech companies and persons. And we, well, a few days before, we attended the exhibition from all over the world to startups, women's companies, and to support the women's healthcare. Well, so many visitors came to the exhibition, even though still the under quite restriction of under the COVID-19. It was exciting. So from now on, femtech is kind of typical word for Japanese women to. It's like a savior of the our health.
So you actually had a full exhibition, and women came for that. Is that right?
Yeah.
Oh, wonderful! So you're supporting women to even do startups.
Yes, and from all over the world, they have many inventions and innovations in products, but because of the quite severe restriction in Japan, they are not coming here yet. Even they want to save Japanese women from the bad condition of health. So we try.
Wonderful. That's amazing. Amazing.
Okay.
That's amazing. That's really good to know.
Thank you.
what, as per you, what if at all, what are the progressive policies that are currently available for women in Japan? You, of course, talked about this whole conference that you spoke about, that respond to the above themes of work, wealth, and well-being. What are the challenges in achieving gender equality through policies? Who can make it happen, and how can they be motivated?
Well, I try to be answer shortly, but okay, it's very, very important, your questions. So I say, well, in moving to achieve economic independence from women, one of the most critical issues is to raise the wage of women to a maximum possible degree. However, examining the wages of men and women in Japan, we find that the women's wages in the nation are only about 3/4, or 70% those of men. This is the major disparity in comparison to other OECD nations. And taking this into consideration, one of the policies introduced during my team as cabinet minister was for mandatory disclosure of gender-based wage gaps. System revisions were made in July of this year. More specifically, the requirements of is for disclosure of male-female wage differences by businesses and with 301 or more regular workers. Kind of small. For age gaps, years of continuous service, hiring conditions, and other specific factors differ for each company. This creates the needs to analyze each company, leading to studies to prepare countermeasures. Such disclosure obligation is extremely important as the first step in analyzing the existing conditions. Working through such policies, we're striving to expand awareness in the following direction, namely in the quest for organization to attain more superior human resources. It is indispensable to realize true gender parity and communicate that progress to the outside. We just was shown the salary of the freshmen, but since the structure of the Japanese companies, the freshmen is about the same. And year by year, men promoted faster than women. So we Japanese people don't actually see the difference of the wages between men and women. So we kind of order to show, let them show the real difference by doing this.
That's amazing. Yeah, that's amazing. That's a problem in the US. It's not only in Japan. It's a problem to some extent in India as well. But this whole idea of yours telling the companies to disclose, I think that's a brilliant policy to really ask and do, because transparency helps in, then women, once they know, maybe they'll negotiate a little better. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, when you don't have the information, when you don't have the data, right, then you can do nothing about it, right? And it's really sad to hear that men keep getting, promoted faster. So the gap keeps kind of increasing and becomes a catch-22, right? That also makes it difficult for the women to continue when they have family requirements, because the man is earning more. So when the two have to make a decision, it's women takes the back seat because the man is earning more. Right. So that actually, adds to the problem. But I like the fact that you were thinking, you kind of thought about this thing of being transparent about wage disparity. So companies are being asked to be more transparent, and that should definitely help. The newer generation are not the kind who will take a discrimination. They will not just take discrimination so lightly. So hopefully that will help.
Well, see, ironically, the gap wage gap between men and women, the most is the among the graduate students. Because women in Japan, more you learn, less you pay.
Oh.
Isn't that weird?
Yeah. That's very sad. Yeah, that's very sad.
You know, open the fact that it happens.
Yeah, but I think just being transparent helps.
Mhm.
That's a good beginning. That's a good beginning. Yeah.
Okay, then we.
So I think
Yeah,
before we
wait.
end, anything else you'd like to share with our audience here? Anything else? Any last words? Any advice? Any learnings for us?
Yeah, there
across
are many, but well, says okay. Some other things that I would like to say is, as I mentioned earlier, one issue in this regard may be described as follows. Despite major shifts in diversification in the state of the family, women's lives in other countries in Japan, policy measures, systems, and similar mechanisms has failed to keep pace in addressing the changing times. As one background factor for this, I believe it can be said that the thinking of politicians as well as persons involved as determining awareness of government agencies and other organizations has not necessarily been appropriately updated. Our status is also indicated in the Women Edition Big Bone Policy Measures 2022, likewise expressed. However, it is the message that the very framework of Japan has changed, bringing forth the need to consider shifts in system and measure with those changes as the natural state of affairs. In that sense, I intend to carry on the mission to revise the thinking of society as a whole. Well, that's it.
Thank you so much.
Mhm.
It's been a pleasure listening to you and hearing your thoughts. And I can relate a lot with what you shared because I don't think India is very different when I listen to you now. I guess all of Asia, South Asia is very similar. I guess we are so deep-rooted in patriarchy and just the way we've been for centuries.
Yep.
That, the change seems to be slow and at times it almost feels there's no movement. But I'm so glad, Seiko, that you're doing so much and that you continue to be a forerunner. And the fact that you took the time to come and chat with us, to share your thoughts, it was a pleasure. It's been a pleasure listening to you, to see the passion in your voice, to see the commitment in you. Thank you so much. Thank you, really. At some time we must meet. This is virtual, but would love to spend some time and see you and meet you whenever we get a chance to cross our paths.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much on behalf of Talenomics India for taking the time out.
Yes.
And have a great day. Thank you so much.
See you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, Binu, for conducting this session. And once again, on behalf of Talenomics India, I would like to thank Honorable MP Seiko Noda for sharing such valuable insights from her rich experience. Thanks, both of you. And friends, thank you once again for being with us. Disha will be with you shortly for the next session.
Perspective. You can't buy it. You can't simply stake a claim to it. Perspective is earned. It takes commitment and time to appreciate the place you've come from and understand where you're going. Think of last year, or maybe 10 years ago. Now we're talking. Go back 20 years, 30, 40, 50. 50 years will give you some serious perspective. At Hilti, 50 years ago, we were launching innovation with the release of the TE17, the first Hilti rotary hammer based on the new electro-pneumatic hammering mechanism that transformed concrete drilling with incomparable speed, comfort, and reliability, making the TE17 a legend on the job site. 50 years invested in research and development. For 50 years, we haven't backed down, not for a moment. We continue to innovate and revolutionize cordless rotary hammers, like the TE6A, the best we've ever made. We're even more committed to support you with our latest technology, and not just our rotaries, combis, and breakers, but also our inserts, as well as valuable services to help you get your job done easier. None of this would be possible without the input of our valued customers across the globe. With tens of thousands of holes tested before launching every product, 50 years of perspective has kept us creating, sustaining, and growing to make sure your job site is always more efficient and more productive. Hilti, as unique today as 50 years ago.